In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. God was the Word. Language. I'm not sure I know where to begin. The problem is elusive. I have a sense that the tools are inadequate, and I count myself among them. Was there a beginning? Is there a beginning? Can I speak of it? Can I speak? Can I? The notion of a beginning is caught up in the whole notion of Western metaphysics. The notion that things have purpose, a cause or an origin, and a telos or an end. There is contained within the notion of a beginning a sense of an ultimate cause, a notion of framing that in some definite sense the thing begun was not implicit in the things which caused it, that in some definite sense the start or origin of this thing creates a difference which is both separable from the things which produced it, and which in some sense is significant. To ascribe a beginning is to indicate a site of significance, of meaning, both in the sense of the beginning as the site of the meaning of a thing, and in the sense that to ascribe an origin to a thing is to indicate that thing as being meaningful. This meaning is inextricably linked to the notion of cause. To ascribe an origin is to attempt a cause. It is to attempt to explicate, to provide reason for, and in so doing make the thing transparent to reason. But there is a difference between ascribing a beginning and attempting to begin. Language is inextricably linked to faith, the notion of the sacred text, of prophecy and of revealed truth, the Word and the Word of God. There is a link between language and faith that goes beyond that indicated by the language of faith. This link is difficult to demonstrate. It is related to the problem of beginnings. For religion, or faith, like origins, is concerned with ascribing cause and establishing meaning. For ultimately, faith entails taking a position on the nature of cause and the location of meaning. Faith is a position of belief or certainty on the nature and meaning of existence. It entails a purpose or telos for existence. It grants to existence an end or an aim, and this of necessity implies and requires an origin, which brings us back to the beginning. In the beginning was the Word. Language. Again, I don't know how to begin. For to begin, I must place myself outside the problem, at its root. Perhaps I must content myself without a solution. For a solution is an end, and to have an end I require a beginning. Another approach is required, one which does not require either a beginning or an end, one which does not have a point, yet which is not pointless. Articulation. The problem, to begin with, is language, my relation to it, and through it, my relation to others. Ultimately, its effect on my relation to the world. Notice I don't say with. Part of the problem is my uncertainty of these relations, and this requires me to speak only of and from myself. I want passionately to be able to escape this requirement, but the nature of the problem confines me. It confines me to speaking only of my own experience, which concretely relates only to my perceptions. I cannot speak to the results of my actions, of my presence, only to my perception of their results. To speak of my actions' results would be to ascribe cause, and to ascribe cause would be to situate myself as an origin. Again, I return to the beginning. In the beginning was the Word. Language. Language is the tool through which I communicate with and interpret the world. It is also the tool I use to communicate with myself. Language pre-exists me, and although I use it, I cannot say it belongs to me. In order for it to allow communication, it must be shared. And this strikes at the heart of the problem. The medium for the sharing of language is language. The medium for the understanding of language is language. And the medium for discussing language is language. If I want to deal with language, if I want to discuss it, question it, or revile it, I can only do so with language. This wouldn't be a problem if language itself didn't continually present me with evidence of its own failure. Part of the problem is that the more I make language my own, the less use it is. I can use it to communicate with myself, to interpret myself, but the validity of my interpretation depends upon the pre-existing structures of meaning present in language. If I truly define myself in my own terms, I am left with no means of validating my interpretations. I am left in a masturbatory circle, contemplating my navel. But this is all a fantasy anyway. I already exist within the field of socially defined language. Any language I developed on my own would of necessity be based on the language I already have, and would obtain its validity and verification from its relation and correspondence to the language I have been given. It would be a useless endeavor unless I could validate and verify the language I have been given. Language depends on its social nature to work, but I cannot help personalizing the concepts and words it presents me with. I always interpret them in light of my personal experience and the context in which I learn them, which means that I don't use language in its social sense, and this means I cannot be certain. I cannot be certain of my understanding of communication, and I cannot be certain of the validity and of the manner in which I use language to define and understand myself. Without certainty is without faith, and without faith is without purpose, without meaning, and without end. Which brings me back to the beginning again. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word was good. Or was it?